Hello, it's me, Alex the Hunted, and over a month ago I asked my community to answer this question of what were their favourite Godzilla kaijus, not including Godzilla. He's going to get his own list. The survey included 38 kaijus from the Godzilla universe, and they all voted on their top 10 favourites. And it worked very much like how the top 10 favourite movies, the survey for all the Godzilla movies, went down, where when you voted on your top 10 favourite, and 10th got 1 point, 9th got 2 points, 8th got, so on and so on until the first place got 1 point. And we've done the same with the kaijus, and there have been quite a few interesting results from this one, definitely. This has been a very successful survey. Around about 500 of you answered the survey, and let's do this celebration of all the kaiju in the Godzilla universe, not including the Big G himself, with this ultimate Godzilla kaiju countdown, starting with, well, the very bottom, the one that got the least points. Oh well, let's begin, shall we? And in 38th place is the Severum, crawling in at last place and only scoring 26 points, which is less than half of the next kaiju. The Severum, well, it's a real shame because they're actually a very interesting idea of these mini kaijus that have evolved from Godzilla. Because Godzilla has basically taken over the world and all the environment works around Godzilla, that these creatures evolved from Godzilla as like these sort of, well, dragon sort of kaiju sort of things that look like straight out of Lord of the Rings, really, like those dragon things. They're a very interesting design. They're actually technically one of the most recent new additions to the Godzilla universe when it comes to brand new kaiju. It's just a shame, like all things involving the anime, they barely did anything. Well, that being said, they did have a bit of a role in the first and second chapter, mostly just to be sort of things to eat characters and just be a general nuisance, and then they just dropped off the face of the earth in the third movie. But as a design wise, they're quite interesting. I mean, they're not bad by any sense of the words. They're a bit generic, but they're definitely interesting designs. But unfortunately, just to how terrible the animes are, they're very poorly utilised, which is a shame, because there definitely is potential for these to come back in some form and actually have a bit of an impact. You know, like how in the Gamera universe, the Gaios became like this sort of swarming evil race of just bats that just swarm planets and take over everything and eat everything. I can definitely see the Severum being put in that sort of role. But anyway, yeah, we have our 38th place, the worst listed kaiju, the worst voted kaiju, according to you guys. And in 37th place is Gabra. Oh, poor Gabra. He can't even get last properly. It's amazing to think after all these years of Godzilla's Revenge being out and being so hated by the fandom, that Gabra is also this hated. Like, you would have expected him to have some sort of fan base following, but throughout the fandom, Gabra is just seen as a massive joke. But that's not to say he hasn't got some redeeming qualities. I mean, he is a very interesting kaiju in the fact that he's not this massively powerful kaiju that's out to destroy the world. He's more just the bully. He is not too powerful and he knows it, so he's going after the little son of Godzilla and not going after Godzilla himself because he knows he'll get his ass kicked. And his electrical powers are very interesting in the fact that he has to grab someone to shock them. He has no real direct beam himself, but his design is really, really goofy, and the fact that he has no tail really does make him look like just a guy in a rubber suit. I mean, how the hell could they possibly make this design look good? Oh, that's right, Godzilla's Singular Point has Gabra in it and he looks amazing. Maybe if I do this survey again after Singular Point comes out, maybe Gabra won't become second last. He might go up a few ranks, but we'll see. But for now, Gabra is second last. And in 36th place is... the Giant Octopus. If there was ever a kaiju that just had a habit of showing up, it would be the Giant Octopus. This kaiju has appeared in so many kaiju movies just out of nowhere. It was in King Kong vs. Godzilla, it was in War of the Gargantuans, it was in the alternative ending to Frankenstein Conquers the World, and you could make a case that it was a giant octopus slash squid that just showed up in Kong Skull Island. This guy just has a habit of appearing. As kaijus goes, there's not really much to say about him. He is just the Giant Octopus. Although technically he is one of the few kaijus that has a confirmed kill, because in the alternative ending of Frankenstein Conquers the World, it is the Giant Octopus that drags Frankenstein into the water, and it is claimed that the Giant Octopus has killed him. Which is interesting to think that this is the kaiju that kills Frankenstein, so does that mean the Giant Octopus is more powerful than Baragon? It's a very interesting kaiju in terms of just how he just has a habit of being there. In King Kong vs. Godzilla it was an actual octopus that actually did fight a man in a suit. There was no puppets used at all, it was just a legitimate octopus that was sadly eaten by the director when the filming was done. But from every other appearance, from War of the Gargantuans onwards, it was a puppet, or if you want to go with Skull Island, it was CGI. It's interesting to think how a kaiju that has so many on-screen appearances has just such a little following, and it's just another kaiju that's just there. The Giant Octopus. It doesn't even really have a name, it's just the Giant Octopus. And it takes 36th place on this list. And in 35th place is... the Giant Condor. Honestly, when I say this, it's amazing how it did this well. 4th last is way better than I thought it was going to do. But yes, the Giant Condor, the screen shaking, just insane, one of the worst fights in the Godzilla franchise. Just this Giant Condor who just appears for about 3 or 4 minutes just to have a peck at Godzilla in a shaky cam fight that's very hard to watch, and yeah, you don't really get much of a look at this kaiju either. It's just a giant condor that decides it wants to attack Godzilla and also eat the woman. But yeah, it's there. There's no origin for it or anything like that. It's just there. There's not really much to say about it because apart from Godzilla vs. Ebirah and of course the stock footage used in Godzilla vs. Revenge, it has no other real appearances. Yeah, the giant condor. It's there. But yeah, the Giant Condor, well, it's surely something, yeah, I mean, when you get to see it, when you're not throwing up watching it fight. And in 34th place is... Mulgira. This was the first surprise for me on this list because I honestly expected Mulgira to do way better than this. To be 5th last is very surprising to me. It's the first mecha of the list, and while I also put this on my top 10 least favourite kaijus, I don't dislike this kaiju at all. I really actually love the design for this Mulgira. It's much better than the Mulgira design in the Mysterians. This Mulgira looks like an actual mobile tank. It looks like something that the military might actually use. Built from the wreckage of Mechagodzilla 2, it does have that problem where it was supposed to be Mechagodzilla 2 that appeared in Godzilla vs Space Godzilla, but they deemed that would be too unfair for Space Godzilla, so downgraded him to Mulgira, even though the movie states that he's supposed to be the upgrade. He's a brilliant design. He's one of the most interesting characters to play as in the Pipework Godzilla games. I do love the array of weapons he just has. He's not a mecha that's built for close range and long range. He's mostly just a support vehicle. That's how I sort of see him as. Definitely a mecha I hope comes back in Singular Point in some sort of form. He's just a really cool design that I would like to see used again in future movies, or just in the Singular Point hopefully. And in 33rd place is... Kumanga, Spygra, or just the giant spider. Kumanga is definitely a kaiju I think needs a bit more love. He's appeared in 3 Godzilla movies, if you also count Godzilla's Revenge, that is 4 Godzilla movies, and he's one of those kaijus that started off as Godzilla's antagonist but has also joined forces with him in later movies. I definitely dig the design because it's more than just a spider. He actually does have a bit of a character and a personality towards him. In Son of Godzilla he is cruel and sadistic, but also likes to hide and play tricks, acting sort of like an ambush predator. In Son of Godzilla he definitely has a presence and a threat to him. He is hyped up quite well, and then his final appearance, while he doesn't have too many scenes, he definitely leaves an impact. He is one of the few kaijus that actually scared me as a child, and then his appearance in Destroy All Monsters made me like him. And then we had Godzilla Final Wars, where it was basically a cameo role. It's a shame he's one of the few kaijus to never appear in a Godzilla game. I'm sure he's had like a cameo role as an enemy in like a GBA game, but as far as I can tell, he's never been a playable character in any game. Which is a shame. He's definitely one of those kaijus I think could do with a bit more love. And in 32nd place is... Kamakirus. Kamakirus is one of those kaijus that has never really been a threat to Godzilla, but it's always fun to see him show up. In Son of Godzilla, the swarm of Kamakiruses were basically just cannon fodder to Godzilla. They were no threat to him whatsoever, he just beat the floor with him. But they did play their role very well as being sort of bully characters for Manila, and also had a very gruesome death against Kumanga. But my favourite version of Kamakirus was definitely in Godzilla Final Wars. I just love the changes they made to him, making him this ultra fast kaiju that can also blend into his surroundings, making him sort of like a stealth kaiju. He's not one of the big bruisers, he's more of the stealth kaijus, which really you don't see many of. And I also just love the noise that his wings make when he flies. It sounds like an old fighter plane. And also while he quickly gets his ass kicked, the move that Godzilla does on him with that charge, that just fast motion spin around attack, is one of my favourite Godzilla moments, just personally. I just find it so badass, even though it is Kamakirus losing. But yeah, never much of a threat, but always nice to see. Kamakirus is 32nd on this list. And in 31st place is... Ebra, the horror from the deep. Poor Ebra, you never really stood much of a chance against Godzilla. You were supposed to be a King Kong kaiju, and well, he doesn't have much personality outside of just being a giant lobster slash shrimp. He has no special attacks, nothing like that. And considering that he came after 2 King Ghidorah movies, he definitely comes off as a bit of a downgrade, but I definitely do like Ebra. He always does come off as a bit of an underdog kaiju. In Ebra Horror of the Deep and in Final Wars, he is sort of the underdog. I mean, Ebra is one of the few kaijus to be taken down by humans on foot. Well, mutants, but you know what I mean. But for being basically a giant lobster, he is a fun kaiju to see around. He's never really a kaiju strong enough, I think, to be a main threat for a movie ever again. He's always going to probably be a supporting kaiju, but I'd definitely like to see Ebra show up a bit more. Maybe even finally give him a beam attack, maybe he can shoot really high pressured water or something like that. But yeah, you can't really get much from a giant lobster. He is just Ebra, the horror from the deep. And so with that, the list is underway. Tell me what you think of the current selections in the comments below, and tell me what your 38 to 31 would be. And make sure to subscribe and keep up to date so you don't miss a single selection from the upcoming, I think, 4 more videos or 3 more videos. Anyway, tune in next time for when we go from 30 to 21. Tell me what you think might make that list, and yeah, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys when we continue this list in the 30s to 21.